In this video, I'm trying out some of the new awesome white cards from Edge of Eternities in this Boros aggro deck. Alright, how's everyone doing? I hope your ladder climb is going well now that everything has finally reset with Edge of Eternities. The new cards are out and people have definitely been experimenting with them. Today's video is all about Boros Weenies or White Weenies, however you want to look at this deck. It is primarily a white focused deck. However, we are splashing a little bit of red to get a little extra power. Now, I've seen a lot of people making different decks like this online, but nobody can really seem to agree on how to make this deck. So I decided to throw together my own version of it. Actually, while I was out for a walk, I was doing a lap around the park and I was just theory crafting cards in, and this is where I ended up. 60 cards and 15 in the main. I had to chop out a lot of stuff, but I think I'm pretty happy with what I have in front of me. Admittedly, I actually haven't played any games with this. I thought it would be interesting to just throw it into the fire, I guess, as you can say, and see how these cards perform. So it is primarily an white aggro deck. We are playing some familiar faces, things like Frontline Rush, that's going to create a couple of 1/1 goblin creatures. We also have Resolute Reinforcement, which is another card that is a 2-body card for 1 card. We are also playing the familiar faces of the Novice Inspector, Warden of the Inner Sky, and Veteran Survivor in the 1-drop slot. So these are cards that have been around before Edge of Eternities. They are powerful cards, and they're going to do a lot of fun stuff for us. But that's not why you're here. You're here to look at some of the new cards, so let's talk about some of them. In the 1 slot, I am playing just 2 copies of Lightstall Inquisitor. This is a pretty powerful card. It is a 2/1 for 1. It has Vigilance, and when it enters the battlefield, each opponent exiles a card from their hand. They get to choose the card, and they may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. Each spell cast this way costs 1 extra to cast. So if they put out a land card, for example, it'll come in tapped, but if it's a regular card, it gets taxed for 1. Overall, pretty cool card. The reason I'm really interested in this is that it is a 2-power card and it has Vigilance, and that goes into the next card that I'm very curious about, the Lumen class frigate. This is a 2 CMC spacecraft and it has station. 2+ other creatures you control get +1/+1. So playing out the Inquisitor on turn 1, the Lumen class on turn 2, being able to attack in for 2 damage and still station the frigate with that card, giving our creatures +1/+1 is going to be pretty powerful. A nice little Lord Anthem effect for the deck. Now I'm only playing 3 copies instead of the full 4. We'll see how it ends up going. Next, we are also playing 3 copies of the Sunstar Chaplain. This is a 3/2 for 2. Pretty good rate. Is a human cleric. Doesn't matter in this deck. And the part that does matter says at the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more tapped creatures, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. So, of course, we're going to be tapping our creatures in a couple of different ways. Number 1, attacking. That's always a good way to tap your creatures. We can also tap our creatures with the frigate, and then we can also finally tap them with the Warden of the Inner Sky. There is another 1 CMC vehicle that some other decks are using. It has Crew 1, so it's a way of tapping down various creatures to be able to activate the Chaplain. I think this should end up working out. We're going to be pretty aggressive. We're going to be attacking in anyways, so I think in the end this is going to be fine. There's also one more card that is not a new card, but it is going to allow us to tap down some stuff, and that is the Wandering Rescuer. We get to cast this in for a Convoke cost, so if we have a couple of creatures on the field, we can flash this in, Convoked. It has double strike. It's a 3/4, pretty powerful, but the reason I'm playing 1 copy, I'm debating 2 copies, is because of that other tapped creatures you control have hexproof. So I think if our opponent is trying to remove some of our creatures with a, I don't know, Shoot the Sheriff, for example, we could flash this in to rescue one of our creatures and also tap down some things. It doesn't really work with the Chaplain because the Chaplain is at the beginning of our end step, and we're probably going to be doing this as a reactionary thing, but it might come up in some situations. 2 more new cards. We are playing 1 copy of Scout for Survivors. I really debated going heavier with this, but I actually didn't really have room for it in the deck. Just going to run 1 copy of it for now. Really kind of want 2, but we'll see for future builds of the deck. I think returning up to 3 target creatures, we have a ton of 1 CMC cards that we can bring back. It's going to be pretty powerful, and they all come back with +1/+1 counters on them. I think that could be a pretty good card for 3. And the last card is the Cosmo Grand Zenith. Only 2 copies of it. It is a 2/4 for 3, but when we cast our second spell each turn, we get to either create 2 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens or put a +1/+1 counter on each creature we control. So we can either build a big board or we can pump up the board and get in a big attack. So lots of things going on in the deck. I guess there's just one more card to mention, the Sky Knight. It's the last card. I didn't really talk about it. I'm not really sure about this, but I am putting a ton of creatures into the field. I think this could be powerful on turn 2. It'll grow very quickly if we're putting out things like Resolute Reinforcements, for example. This might be one of the cards that ends up getting cut in the end for something like more Chaplains or more copies of Scout the Survivors, possibly that one CMC vehicle that I mentioned before. The mana base is pretty simple. We have our Boros lands in Inspiring Vantage, the Sacred Foundry, and Sunbillow Verge. Then over in the sideboard, I think white is pretty well positioned for sideboards these days. 3 copies of High Noon to deal with VV decks. Rest in peace, 4 full copies. There are still a lot of graveyard things going on, especially with Yuna being a little bit unlocked these days. I think this is going to be pretty necessary. Requisition Raid, a pretty cool card that I never really considered before, but if we are going wide, this could be powerful. It is sorcery speed, so that's a little bit of a downside, but still, we'll see how it ends up working out. Mostly we're looking at this for destroy target artifact or enchantment, but we also have the put a +1/+1 counter on each creature target player controls. This could be a pretty cool way to end the game if we get into that position. A couple of copies of Seam Rip to remove some early aggression from decks like mice, sure, whatever, or rabbits. Rabbits is the bigger concern for me. 2 copies of Boros Charm, mostly for the indestructible, but it can also give us a little bit of reach if we need it with 4 damage to an opponent's face. And then finally 2 copies of Enduring Innocence. Maybe there are going to be some games where we need a little bit of draw power, especially against control matchups, so these might come in those cases. So that is the deck. I'm really excited to see how this one's going to work. I think the archetype of Boros Weenies or White Weenies is very powerful. Yeah, I didn't mention this one. The Recruiter. This is the reason to go red, pretty much. This is going to be one of our win cons, giving everything haste, +1/+0, and ending the turn. So, of course, it is a Boros deck. We're playing the Recruiter. It's a pretty sweet card. Again, I think it's going to have a lot of staying power. I think there's a lot of there's a lot to this deck, and I'm really excited to play some of these new cards. So let's jump into some games and see how this actually performs. Okay, let's see how this deck performs on the ladder. I have high hopes for the deck. I love playing these kind of aggro decks. And, okay, opening hand looks fine. A little bit of an awkward thing. When I was making the deck, I did consider that this might be a bit of a problem. The Novice Inspector, as well as the... oh my god, I'm forgetting what it's called. The 1/2 that taps everything. I'm terrible with names. I know exactly what it does. Tap 3 creatures, scry 1, get a +1/+1 counter. It doesn't really work with the Lumen class frigate off the bat. So, a little bit of an awkward part there. Still, I think it is going to be okay just to put out the Chaplain. And now also the Chaplain not really working here because we need 2 creatures to be tapped. Anyways, the opponent is on a probably Izzet deck. Well, I think we're going to see probably a little bit of red coming out of them in a second. Ooh, they stumbled maybe a little bit. That's the hope. Okay, let's try to put out the Lumen class frigate. Pretty cool card art that you get from the Battle Pass, I guess. I think that's where that came from. So we will tap the Chaplain. They didn't respond. If they have some kind of removal spell for the Chaplain, they definitely should have hit it before I was able to station up the frigate. We'll see what the opponent does once they do that. But yeah, anyways, the normal spiel while the opponent is roping, because that is typically what ends up happening to me. If you could continue to hit those, hit that subscribe button. Of course, we are growing ever so closer to 500. I might be over 500 by this point. We'll see. This video is posed to come out on Sunday, I believe. But yeah, if you could, of course, do that, that'd be awesome. And then also let me know, comment-wise, how is everything going? Are you enjoying the Edge of Eternities format? Are your decks working for you? Are things not really working for you? Always interested to hear what's going on from all of you. Okay, we are flooding out a little bit. We might actually get to a point where we are doing the trained troops side of the Imodane's Recruiter here. let's go see if we find a few more lands off the top of our deck. We find a Chaplain. Chaplain, I think, is actually not too bad of a card. Let's load up the Novice Inspector a little bit more, make it a 4/5. And then I guess I'm going to attack in, and whether or not I draw with the clue or I flash out the front line rush is going to be a bit of a question. They are going to be 2/2 creatures thanks to our Lumen Class Frigate here. They have just Steam Core Scholars hitting the field. And they have discarded a couple of cards. I'm not really paying attention to what they've discarded. Okay, just throwing away some lands. So they are doing fine with their mana base. I'm assuming they are down to 3 cards, though. And they have a Helping Hand to bring back yet another Scholar. So they got a whole board of Steam Core Scholars, whatever. 2/2s. Are they attacking in? They're not attacking in. While they're tapped out, I think it's probably fine to put out some Gobos. And I could put out the Chaplain and then pile in, but do you want to make this a creature? That is a very good question. I don't know. Okay, let's just attack. What's the worst that could possibly happen here by attacking in? Block and a block. Okay. Since they are down to 2 cards, they are chump blocking. I think it's probably indicating that they're in a weird position. Although when somebody's chump blocking like that, it kind of maybe indicates that they might have some kind of board wipe because they are just preserving their life. Since these are just on the field, I'm not going to do anything with them. There's no reason not to throw this on to the frigate. Maybe we end up getting the last 3 station on it, and then it attacks in for 3 in the air. They do have, of course, the flyer, but maybe we can deal with that. They are attacking, and of course it's Vigilance. That's pretty cool. Okay, so we do have the Chaplain, we do have the Recruiter, we could draw. We have actually a lot of different options. They only have 2 mana open, so I think probably it's just pressure damage at this point. 2 mana open. If they counter something, hopefully they counter the Chaplain. They don't counter the Chaplain, so they do know the Recruiter's around. The Recruiter was just an adventurer card, and we end up getting them on game 1. So what exactly is the opponent doing? They are, of course, doing some stuff with Delirium, so maybe Rest in Peace is going to be a good idea. They have Helping Hand, so it seems to reason that, not High Noon, we want to bring in our 4 Rest in Peace. Probably that's the only thing that we need. Because we're bringing in Rest in Peace, there is no reason to have Scout for Survivors. That's just like a little obvious non-bow for the deck. They are also going to be playing quite a bit of removal, so maybe getting rid of 1 Sky Knight Squire, maybe 2. I think it's probably one of the weaker cards in the deck overall. They are probably going... 61 card special coming up here. I took out only 3 cards. I noticed just at the end. Hey, sometimes 61 cards might end up being better than anything else. But I was going to say, I think they have probably some kind of bounce. So loading up the Squire and then having it bounced off is going to be pretty annoying. We'll see. Anyways, first game with the deck looking okay. I think this deck has a lot of potential. I definitely want to stick around with it and see where it ends up going. Very white opening hand, which is fine. It's basically a mono white deck in the end. And they have the Mako Shark. So are they also playing Vivi? I don't know. I hate Vivi. How do you feel about Vivi? Do you think Vivi and Agatha's Soul Cauldron are appropriate power level for Standard, or is that a card that's just waiting to be removed from the game? I don't know what they were thinking with that card. Okay, we're going to try our best to get a scry off with this Warden of the Inner Sky if the opponent allows it. They did allow it. Thank you very much. So, pump up the Warden of the Inner Sky, a card that I often forget the name of. They might zap it. Nope, they just cycle. They had... Oh, okay, I was going to say, I thought they had 3. That's exactly what we want. Our red source and a 3rd land that can allow the Cosmogrand Zenith to hit the field, and then... Well, we have a 1-drop and a couple of 2-drops, so that's going to allow us to get the advantage of this ability. I really love this card, and I really don't know where it's going to end up. I think it has a lot of potential. Okay, they have put an Oculus into the bin. Okay, actually, we probably needed to dig a little bit harder for Rest in Peace, and that's definitely on me. We are going to take a little bit of damage here. It's fine. Do I want the land? Or do I want to try to find a Rest in Peace at this point? I think it's fine to throw it in the bin. We'll attack in for 3. They're not going to block with the Scholar. It's fine. And now we are probably going to take a little bit of damage this turn. Okay. Nice to see them playing the Mystic Monastery. Jeskai tapped land. Yeah, maybe Izzet mana base is not as good as it once was. I know, of course, Boros looking pretty good. One of the reasons why I want to play more Boros is because they have a pretty awesome mana base. Maybe they're digging for Helping Hand. Kind of seems to be the case here. And maybe they don't find it. Okay. So they get in for 6 damage, down to 11, and they still have 2 blockers back. Blockers that are bigger than our team. And we end up hitting yet another land. So, we're going to play out 2 cards. Whether it is the Sky Knight Squire or... It's going to be this plus one of these. I think this actually gives us maybe a little bit more power in the end. I'm probably... looking at it this way, I should have done it the other way. It's fine. Am I putting +1/+1 counters on everything, or am I making 1/1s? I think I'm actually making 1/1s. This is going to allow me to pump up the Wardens. The Warden. It's fine. We get a lot of babies. Okay. So the Warden is also going to now have Vigilance. And we hit the Rest in Peace. Is it too late for the Rest in Peace, though? I don't know. I don't know. Let's tap our 1-drops and attack in. We just have 2 blockers. We're at 11 life. We are playing with fire here, especially considering they have a fear of missing out. If they are able to get the Delirium going, which is very likely, actually, this Rest in Peace is going to be pretty important for the deck overall. Because of stopping the Delirium. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. But they still have a 5/5, which is a big problem. Still, attacking into my 5/6 Warden is going to be pretty bad for them. Never mind. Because now I'm in a position where I actually have to block with the Cosmogrand. Okay. So we block here, and I guess... take 6 and take another 6. Are they going in? Wow. They went in. Maybe they just they clicked attack all. Unfortunate. Yeah, maybe I got too greedy tapping down so many things with the Warden because I would have loved to pump the team here. I guess it's still just going to be Rest in Peace. Get rid of both graveyards, and probably the Chaplain. With the Chaplain on the field, we get to tap down some things. I don't think it really matters what we tap down. We're not going to go too crazy this time. And we attack in with just the 6/7. If we can find a Cosmogrand doesn't work off the top because we only have a 2 CMC card in the hand. We don't have a 1 CMC card to activate it. Okay. We get to put a +1/+1 counter. We'll put it on an untapped 1/1. This card, what do y'all think about this? Is it good enough, or is it a little bit weak? I should have put the 1. I forgot that. Oh, no. It's fine. It doesn't fly. It's fine. Things are fine. But yeah, what do you think about this card? I'm a little... Now that I've been playing it now, I don't know. Okay, we do draw 2 cards. So, is it worth it putting them out now, or is it better just to swing all in? If I swing all in, they're going to block the Warden with the Scholar. They're going to block probably the Chaplain on the Mako, and they block here, and then we get in for 5 damage, not 6 damage. So since that's the case, probably I just attack in here, force the block on the Scholar. And this does give them another chance, but it will allow us to dig a little bit. Let's tap, tap, and tap here. Resolute Reinforcement is not what I want. I want to find a Recruiter or Cosmogrand. Am I brave enough to tap a little bit more? Let's... Okay. The opponent done with my prattling on. What we would have done is put out the Survivor. The Survivor, now I'm realizing also, if I'm bringing in Rest in Peace, probably the Survivor needs to be removed from the deck. So that would have been the 61 card to be cut, probably. Anyways, good opening. The deck does have some power, especially against Jeskai graveyard stuff. A couple more. What? So, well, I don't know, what, the opponent's battery or something died there? I guess you take it. Hey, that's how you get up to Plat 3 with no effort. All right, that one doesn't count. I'm probably going to cut the first game. So let's quickly talk about what happened. The opponent was on Dimir, Kaito, Value, whatever it is, and I just got drowned by an Enduring Curiosity, the blue cat thing, the 4 CMC thing, whatever it's called, and it just drowned me in Value. They were drawing like 4 cards a turn. I just couldn't keep up, and we ended up, I just conceded that game because there was no way I was going to crawl my way back. But went to sideboarding, the opponent didn't do anything, and boom. So here we are. I'm not going to put that game in, whatever, we're going to move on. Game 3, officially Game 2, I guess we'll say. Magikarp. I have definitely, that's a name that I have run into before. If this had just one more land, we could have kept it, but there's no way. There is a way I can keep this. This is a risky keep, but turn 1, Warden, and then into the Novice Inspector to dig for a land, and we do have a lot of cool cards in this opening hand. But this is insane to keep, right? I want to keep it. 1 land. It's exciting. And we're never punished. There's no way this could possibly go wrong. How many times have I said that? Sometimes it goes wrong, sometimes it doesn't go wrong. But Warden of the Inner Sky, I'm going to say hello. I'm going to be polite to me, opponent. Okay, they are ramping. Okay. That was supposed to be something different. That's okay. That's okay. It's okay. The land is 3 deep, and we will find it on the following turn. And if we don't, I implore you to call me an idiot for keeping a 1-land hand because it looked cool. Hey, okay. Not so far behind. In that case, let's put out the Sunstar Chaplain. We will scry again, find a land. We want lands, and we'll attack in for 3. That's okay. And then we pump up the... Let's pump up the Warden. I don't know. What was the pump there? The opponent is... Oh, they're going to get out of control so quickly. This card, putting plus X 1/1s on things. If you don't destroy this thing, the game is just over. And the game might just actually be over. Okay. Whoa. Cool. Let's attack in with the Warden. And then... I missed a land, by the way. So, put out 2 Wardens, and am I going to flash in the Wandering Rescuer? I think that's probably the play. Yeah. So if I do it now, I get the Sunstar Chaplain trigger. If I don't do it now, I can surprise the opponent with the Wandering Rescuer, and I think that's probably a better course of action. Let's hope that they end up attacking in. So they warped this in last time. That is cool. If 1 or more counters will be put on a creature, spacecraft, planet you control, twice that many of each put onto it instead. So now they have 15/15s. Attack, attack, attack. Yes. Okay. Right? Is it possible that they have trample? Am I going to die to trample? Okay, how much damage do I actually need? I'm going to be flashing this in. It's going to be 6 damage, 10, 13. So I can afford to put all of these here. Does this give trample? Dumb. Oh, I'm so dumb. I guess I don't show this, right? So this is more than enough damage to murder me. Herd Heirloom, not Heirloom. Not a card that I'm overly familiar with. I should have known. The trample was there on the field. If I had been a little bit more aware of my situation, I could have blocked a little bit better. But I think in the end, like, these things were going to grow so much. What a cool thing the opponent is doing. I can get behind this. Okay. This... Go away. I can't, oh, that's so stupid. This is a 3 CMC card, right? This is a 1 CMC card, of course. This is 2 CMC. So how good is Seam Rip going to actually be here? I don't know. This is not anything that I can kill. So if they get that on the field, we're kind of just in trouble. I could bring in the requisition raids to get rid of things like the heirloom. Maybe it'll be a good idea. Probably Scout for Survivors, not very valuable. There's a very low likelihood that they're going to actually murder any of our stuff. And I'm kind of thinking that we might have a hard time getting in with some of our small creatures. So I think I might trim 2 of the Novice Inspectors. Maybe go like that. Okay. The opponent, playing that plant card, it's very cool. That was one of the cards that I was definitely eyeing up. I think it was one of the top 5 cards that I actually talked about when I did that quick little video. Not this time. We got the Seam Rip. Fine. This is so... Okay. The deck being rude for this game. I guess because we got a free win the last game against the Demir player that bumped us up into Plat 3, the game is probably like, you know what? No. No more. Oh, the Dragon Sniper is here. I don't want to use the Seam Rip on that. I'd rather put it on probably a Mana Dork if that's what they have. Hunter's Talent also. Okay, well, find a land. So I guess do that. Leveling this up is not a big deal, although it's another way of them getting trampled, so that's really cool. I love what the opponent's up to. They have definitely brewed something interesting. And now the Seam Rip is going to be making their stuff even bigger. Miss on the lands. Oh, things are just not working, are they? Okay, let's pass. Oh, we didn't draw anything. Right? We're struggling. At the beginning of... The fact that it's at the beginning of combat is just so amazing. Watch these things just get pumped up. And now, sure, I can flash this in, pump the Night Squire a little bit, and take out one of their babies. But at the same time, this thing is producing so much power, and we miss on lands. Okay, well... Actually, the cool part, oh my god, if I try to get rid of this, it's going to pump this up with another counter. So that is just some really cool interaction the opponent has going in their deck. There's literally nothing I can really do here, right? I'll just put this out. Make a 4/4. I'm just going to let the opponent have fun. I really appreciate what they got going on here. I want to see how big they can get. The last game, they had 17 power out of basically nowhere. Okay, wow, it's going to double trigger. Watch this. This is going to be neat. I can sit here and enjoy. I can pretend that I'm living vicariously through the opponent. You could block. There's no blocks here. Okay, we got absolutely whomped in this one. All right, Magic Heart. Cool deck. I can appreciate that, and maybe gotta look into something playing the plant thing. Next one. Game 3. So what I'm finding with this deck, our deck, the Boros deck, is that it's a little bit awkward with the 1-drops. I'm finding this is fine, but some of the other 1-drops are not really working out. I think as much as I love having the Inspector in the deck with the card that I'm forgetting its name of Third Path. Is it a Third Path thing? I don't know what it's called. Pop it up. Make editing Matt do a little bit of extra work. Whatever that card is doing, it does feel a little bit awkward with some things, but it is such a good card in the deck, and it, you know, the scrying and the getting big, it is actually the card that's really doing a lot of the work. Maybe it's the 2-drop slot that's really not impressing me. Chaplain, definitely feeling on the weaker side of things. Okay, we're up against Mono Black. We got another cool swamp going on over here. That's really awesome art. Dang. Okay, well, we get to do the cool thing. And we also get Scout for Survivors, so that might end up being relevant in the future. Now, they are flashing in the timeline color. They can bring it back for 2 this turn. Instead, they go with the Dark Knight. Okay, no, they do warp this in one more time. So they are doing plenty of damage to themselves. They can potentially do another 2 damage to themselves next turn. And I think probably I'm just going to put the Zenith out and pray that I hit a 1 CMC spell for the next turn. Do I want to tap these? I think I'm actually okay tapping these both. I'm not going to attack in. I'm going to let them attack with the Dark Knight if they want to do 2 damage to themselves. Now, if they have another color that they can warp in, that's going to bring them down to 12, and then they can attack with the Cecil going down to 10, which will flip the Cecil, and that is, how you say, not good. Okay, we end up missing on something playable. Because now we can't hit the Zenith. Maybe I need more 1-drops in the deck as well. So there's no point in putting this out untapped. I can load this up and attack in. I guess it's probably just going to be the Knight Squire. Tapping the Knight Squire and the Knight. The Zenith here. That's fine. We can attack in for 3 in the air. Gain a little bit of life. But now their Cecil is going to be turning on. But if they attack in, I think I could put the Inquisitor in front of it. They got a little screwed on lands by the looks of things, and that kind of went our way. That's also really cool. Man, some people get some really nice cosmetics. I'm jealous of their sweet cosmetics. Seam Rip seems to be a pretty good card. I think I might even need to go up a few more Seam Rips in the sideboard, because I think it's just going to be powerful overall. Otherwise, I don't really know. Do I really want to bring in Rest in Peace just to stop the color from coming from the graveyard? Probably not. I think it's probably fine just to let them do 2 damage to themselves. Oh, I can always get rid of it with that. All right, let's trim 2 of the Novice Inspectors for a little bit of removal, and we'll try it this way. What do you guys also think about the Wandering Rescuer? I'm actually a little bit high on the Wandering Rescuer, but I'm a little bit worried that it's my own love for this card, this character. I think it's such a cool character, and I think the mechanic of Convoke is really interesting, really neat, powerful. Giving your creatures hexproof when you're convoking them in with this flash creature just seems so interesting, but I haven't really had it work that often. I'm only playing 1 in the deck. I think you got to keep this unfortunate bit of a hand. They have a non-blocking creature, and we're drawing more lands. Would have preferred a 1-drop there, but that is what it is. We do have 2 recruiters. Maybe we end up getting up to making train the troops at some point. Ooh, the opponent helping us out, doing some damage to themselves. So, is it actually just the frontline rush instead of the chaplain? Probably. Yeah, let's do frontline rush on the following turn. On their turn, rather. They do have a Charm over here, but they can't cast it because they found a Sanctuary Soulstone. As much as I love Dark Confidant being on the field, draining them of life, I think I would much rather attack or block it there and kill it. Sunset Saboteur, pretty good for the... Oh my god, what is with these draws? Okay, so it really is going to be a matter of casting this out for the 2, I think, without question. Not getting... I think we need more ways of tapping stuff with the Chaplain to be able to benefit from its ability. It's another card that... Okay, well, they, you know, when they have 2 points of removal, and we are drawing literally every land in our deck. Have I drawn a playable card? I'm pretty sure I had these 2 cards and these 2 cards. I'm pretty sure I haven't drawn anything other than a land. The game is really pushing me to my limit today. As soon as I hit the record button, it seems to go that way, right? Ooh, that's a good card. Really? Really? Alright, we're on the worst plan possible. Train the troops nice and slow. 2 2/2s. They do have to kill the 2/2s if they want to attack in with the Saboteur. Of course, they can... Oh, boy, that's cool. So, Final Vengeance allows them to sacrifice the Miner to get the condition for the Final Vengeance, and then because they targeted something, they committed a crime, they're able to pay 1 more and immediately bring it back. That's really cool synergy, and I think I gotta look at that. Final Vengeance might be actually insane. Okay. When you draw 5 lands in a row, something like that, it was at least 4, maybe 5, what are you really gonna do? That's magic. But we get to play first for game number 3, and we have a somewhat playable hand. Here's the problem that I was kind of talking about with the Warden and the Lumen. Really don't like this little awkwardness. Okay. Still? Come on. What a scoff at these draws. Okay, we do at least get a Scry. It's a Novice Inspector. Novice Inspector's fine. Next turn we can go Plains into the Lumen and then tap some stuff down, pump up the team, and maybe be in a pretty good position for future turns. If they end up killing the Warden, I'm going to be pretty bummed about that, to say the least. But they have a Warped Timeline color. When I was playing the Mono Black deck, I think I didn't appreciate warping nearly as much. Come on, they're going to have... Oh. Okay. Again, Final Vengeance showing that it's a very cool, very powerful card that's going to allow them to do so much. Really wish I had the Scry ability here, but it is what it is. So we get to at least get a couple of 2/2s. And I think I'm okay attacking. Sure. I don't know, maybe stay. I don't think it's going to be a game where I'm going to get the station up to 12 here. It's going to be fine as a 2/2. But we're going to need something really fancy coming up here. Oh my gosh, they're also playing Skeletons. Just adore what they're doing. Okay, well, there are worse cards that we could have drawn there. So I think we'll put this out. We will tap this. Now we have 3 4s and 3 3s. This thing can't block. We're down to 2 life, though. We are going to draw on the following turn. I think I'm okay just hitting them for another 6. Putting them in kind of a weird position. We'll draw. And if we hit something like the Recruiter... Also, they need to find a blocker, right? They might not have anything to stop what we're about to attack with. That being said, they do have the Soulstone Sanctuary online, but do they really want to trade the land for one of our 3/3 creatures? I don't know. How? I didn't read this. So solve. To solve, you control no suspected skeletons. If unsolved, solve at the beginning of your next end step. Sure, fine. So they put out the Timeline color as a blocker. Do they have another? Do they have a way of removing the frigate? There's no way, right? No. They have a Cecil as a blocker. Okay, give me land. Sure. So, if I do this, +1, +0, this creature enters, it'll be a 3 something. They'll block these two. We'll get in for 6 points of damage, 6 points of damage, 7 points of damage, because 8 points of damage. Let me make sure. When this creature enters, creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain haste until the end of turn. This is going to be a 5 damage creature. They will block this one. No, they block this one. These are going to be 4s. They'll block another one. It is enough? Sorry, I'm going to be a little nervous here. I think it's enough. It was just enough. Wow. What a draw. What a top deck. Absolutely just getting very lucky hitting the recruiter there. Sometimes you do get lucky and sometimes you realize that that is the answer. Wow, I could have misplayed that very, very easily. Still, often these days I'm seeing the opponents doing cool stuff. The last game with the opponent playing the mono green deck that just absolutely wrecked us, and then this mono black deck playing the Final Vengeance. I absolutely have to look into adding this to my deck. And then this is a skeleton variant of the deck, and something really cool is going on with this mono black deck. Awesome stuff. All right, I think that is officially 3 games. Head over to a quick wrap up. All right, so the deck pretty much functioned as I imagined it, but I can now see a couple of weaknesses with the deck. I was really high on the Sky Knight Squire. I thought this card was going to be pretty sweet, especially with the frontline rush and the resolute reinforcements. But the reality is that this card is something you have to put a lot of work into building up, and then your opponent just pops it because it's so vulnerable. So I think in the end, the Sky Knight Squire is just too weak to have in the deck. Probably 4 copies are getting cut right out of the deck. I also think maybe going down 1 or 2 of these cards over here is going to be probably a safe bet, and then introducing some cards that are going to be a little bit more powerful. I didn't really see the Zenith doing too much. It helped us the one game, but I think we were already in a pretty good position. And then the Scout for Survivors also didn't come up. Nowadays, with the amount of graveyard removal, maybe it's not the best thing. It is only 1 copy of it in the deck, but maybe it's being a little bit too cute. Anyways, if you have some suggestions for this deck and how we can shape it, I think there is definitely something here. Just the fact that you're playing a go wide strategy with the recruiter, I think is just a powerful way to play this game. You know, kind of looking at it, something, you know, going this way. The Chaplain, oh boy, the Chaplain is a weird card. The fact that it has 2 life or 2 toughness is really bad. I think being able to pump it up to a 4/3 right away is the necessary thing to do with it. Now that I've played it a bit, it's just way too vulnerable, but right now it's staying in the deck. I think the Lumen class Frigate is actually pretty powerful. As soon as you get it on the field, you pump it up. It's a great anthem for 2, and it also has that, you know, +12 ability. You're not really going to use it for that too often, but I think 3 copies of it in the deck are pretty cool. So yeah, I'm going to mess around with the deck a little bit more. I'm going to play it in my own free time and try to climb a little bit more with this deck or with other decks, who knows. But I will be revisiting this deck. If you have some suggestions for how I can improve this deck, please do let me know, because I think this is one of my favorite ways to play this game. It's one of my favorite archetypes, and I want to stick with it. Anyways, if you've stuck around 50 minutes, probably now about 55 minutes, as I've been saying, thank you very much. You must really enjoy seeing me stumble through these games. Thank you very much. Please say hi down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye for now.